of the most important aspects of shooting great portraits is connecting with people. It doesn't matter if you're technically brilliant or even if you learn how to direct all the great poses in this course. You will always take a better shot if you connect with your model. That doesn't mean you need to be best friends or get along like a house on fire. It just means that you've found a way to reach them so that they feel comfortable and relaxed enough for you to get that perfect shot. However, you don't just develop an instant connection with people. Sometimes it can be difficult, but you just need to find a way in. I was commissioned to photograph Daniel Radcliffe for one of Australia's leading national magazines. Most of these A-list shoots happen in 5-star hotel rooms, and I've done many over the years and was pretty confident of what to expect. It's usually the talent, makeup artist, journalist, and a publicist. I'd forgotten that Daniel was at the peak of his fame as the star of the Harry Potter movies and was thrown by how many people were crowded into the suite of the 6-star hotel we were shooting in. Yeah, 5 stars wasn't enough. When I arrived at the hotel, I was greeted by Daniel's bodyguard, a really intimidating guy who was 6 foot tall and 6 foot wide and pure muscle. I didn't catch his name, I was too afraid to ask, but in my head, I called him Bubba. So picture this, I'm standing in a hotel room with Daniel Radcliffe, who's probably 16 or 17 at the time. Behind me is Bubba, the bodyguard, Daniel's manager, the agent, a publicist, his mother, a stylist, a journalist, and a couple of extras who I'm not entirely sure what they did. It's deathly quiet except for the sound of crickets that weren't really there. That was the soundtrack in my head. Every time I moved the camera, all eyes in the room were on me. I needed to work out a way to engage with Daniel. He was still a boy, yet had all these people in his entourage. I didn't want to ask the obvious questions like, so, what's it like to be Harry Potter? I needed to find common ground to break the ice. It started with my usual questions to a guest in a country. Is this your first time in Australia? What are you looking forward to doing most? And that's when I found my in. It turns out that Daniel was a massive cricket fan. Not the crickets I was hearing in my head, but the sport, and his team England were playing my team Australia. I silently thanked the universe and my older brother for all those years growing up I'd been forced to watch cricket. Luckily, I knew enough about the game to quiz Daniel on his thoughts about how his team was going and what he thought would be the outcome. Now, I couldn't care less about cricket. In fact, I'd rather eat glass than watch cricket. I find it the most boring game in the world. But Daniel lit up when I talked about it, and I could see he was relieved I didn't want to talk about Hollywood questions or another boring Harry Potter question. Everyone in the room relaxed. I was able to take control of the shoot and guide Daniel through all the poses and setups I needed for the magazine story. Daniel was a great guy, incredibly down to earth and a joy to work with. Had I asked the wrong questions, one of his minders would have interrupted and made the shoot very awkward. But because they saw he was happy and relaxed, the shoot was able to flow seamlessly. Now, it's not every day I get to photograph Harry Potter, the boy wizard from Hollywood. It's usually more like Harry Punter, a mechanic from Healesville, but the approach is always exactly the same. So here are my tips to get a great connection with your model so that you have a successful shoot. Set the tone for the shoot. I'll expand on this in another module. Be interested rather than interesting. I'll also expand on this in another module. You should also try and find a common ground and learn the art of small talk, like I did with Daniel. The art of small talk is something that can be easily learned. Try practicing some of the tips I give you in your everyday encounters when you're standing in the line at the supermarket, on a bus or train, or at your local cafe. Small talk or banter works best when it flows naturally. Try and ask general, non-threatening questions, not too personal, to start with until you find a topic of conversation that you both have in common. Safe areas of conversation to start with might be, "That's a great bag or hat or jacket or scarf you're wearing. I have something similar. Did you buy it here?" Or, "How did you get here to this location? Did you drive, walk or take public transport?" If they answer, "I drove," then I might ask, "Was there lots of traffic?" "Really? Did you get stuck on King Street? That road's always busy." Now you have a common mutual hatred of King Street. From here, the conversation might lead to other roads we like to travel on, which may then lead to roads I like to travel on because they are near my favourite cafes, which then leads to other favourite cafes, which then might lead to, "Do you like coffee?" Keep this early banter easy, non-personal questions until you've built some trust.